Aiden in Florida has questions about dealing with family members. So welcome, Aiden.
That took an interesting turn. Hello to both of you. Yeah, I just am looking for some advice. I don't know how easy or hard this will be, but I'll give you a backstory for like 30 seconds, but it pertains to the question. Throughout my childhood, my father was in and out of prison. Around middle school, he went to prison, and my mother divorced him, and we moved to a different state. He unfortunately took his own life shortly thereafter. Now, as I grew up going through high school, I, because of the show mainly, deconverted, and the rest of my family, my mom, my brother, we went to live with my grandparents on her side. Everybody else was religious, devout Christians. So what I'm calling about basically is when I go and I visit, I'm in college now, but when I go and I visit and I come home, they know I'm an atheist. And they aren't hostile, but they try to convince me to go to church. They question me. I feel that they look at me through some like tainted lens because of what I believe, or I guess what I reject. And I guess my question for you is, part of me feels that I need to explain myself so they respect me a little more. But part of me feels bad because I see what my family's gone through, and especially my mom, and how much religion has done for her. And I don't want to like rip that away from her or make her feel a certain way. So I guess I'm just wondering, how far do you think I can go or should go in a scenario like that? Is there any advice you could give me?
You know, Aiden, whenever people come with this kind of question, and not just on shows like these, like in general, I always find it funny because they'll do this thing where they'll say, just like you did, where you say, you know, I don't want to take this thing away from my mom because it helps her, but it's really important to me that I fix this relationship, and I don't know what to say to her. And I'm always like, but you just gave the perfect example right there. You should tell your mom, hey, look, I really care about you. I care about our relationship. I want this to work, and I'm not trying to tell you what you can or can't believe. But like, it's important for me going forward for our relationship that we have a conversation and come to some sort of common understanding about what my boundaries are on this. Like you nailed it right there. I don't really think you need to add much more to that. Yeah.
One thing I try to take notes because we're trying to make sure we deal with the gap in time and interruptions a little better. And the first thing I noted was you were talking about what kind of things could you say that would make them respect you more? And I don't know your mom. I don't know your family. I don't know how fundamentalist they are versus liberal. I don't know their theology, but I doubt there's any argument you could make for being an atheist that necessarily makes anybody respect you more. And what I found, and my family's going to be different from yours, and I've had arguments with my family. I've talked about them on the show. I've received birthday cards that I've read on the show that, you know, are awful. My parents are still curiously proud of me for, you know, not being in prison and not being awful and all the other things that parents are generally proud of their kids for. There's nothing that's going to make my parents respect my atheism or respect the fact that I'm an atheist, because in their mind, I'm working for Satan and I'm leading people to hell. And there's nothing about that they can respect. The things about me that they can respect are that, you know, how I'm a decent person, how I work, you know, do good things. Those are things they can respect about my character that's independent from the atheism. So rather than looking for what you should address with regard to atheism, I agree with Arden. Address who you are, who they are, and what your relationship means. And then if they want to have a conversation, like, I just don't understand how you can not believe this, then you can have those conversations. And I would argue, and this is going to sound strange, especially coming from me and some people's perception of the show, although I think largely it fits. 1 Peter 3:15 encourages all Christians to be prepared at all times to give a reason for the faith that's within them, and to do so with gentleness, kindness. I think that's a good message, even for atheists, which is not to go knocking on doors necessarily and, hey, have you stopped believing Jesus? Or let me take your faith away from you. But to be prepared enough to say, here's why I don't believe in a God, and not, God, you're stupid for believing in a God. I don't see how that's productive at all. And you have a huge advantage right now because you're talking to your mom. And unless your mom is some kind of super weirdo, your mom loves you so much and is already wanting to be on your side about everything. It makes those conversations. I had a 6-hour argument with my mom that was as off the rails as anything you've heard from callers on here. My mom still loves me. My mom came up to me the next day and she's like, I thought some more about what you said. And I think what you mean is that I start by believing that the Bible is true and you don't have that belief. So you would need to be convinced that the Bible is true first. And I was like, yes, there was like some moment of breakthrough because all she ever wanted to do was reference the Bible, which I already knew better than she did. But yeah, I'm in agreement with Arden. And I think you're going to be okay. And I wouldn't worry about it too much, but I think your mom's on your side.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, that's great advice. I'm down here in Florida going to college, and I'm a licensed pilot. I'm going to be an airline pilot. They're tremendously proud of me. It really, I know they love me. They tell me they love me. When we get on those topics, I'm gay. That whole thing is that could be another call or something. But stuff like that, where they say they love me and they're proud of me, I feel that they're sincere. But I know their beliefs, and so I guess that just makes it hard. But I think that's good advice, just to focus on the stuff that I'm doing, their support of me, and to not focus so much on the religion, the disconnect that we have there.
Yeah, definitely. I hear you, Aiden. Like I had multiple conversations with my family where I know they love me, but I know they're because of their beliefs, there's some sort of disjoint in how they support me, and that they'll call me she, her, but they won't necessarily actually see me as a woman or something along those lines. And that's frustrating sometimes. But I think sometimes we build these conversations up to be a lot scarier in our head than they actually are in real life. And I think a lot of people actually really appreciate being given the opportunity to honestly set boundaries. When you sit down and you say that, like you'd said, like, I want to keep this relationship with you. I don't want to tell you how to believe or what to think. I just want us to have an easier time navigating this relationship. How do we do that together? I think a lot of people being given that autonomy and respect as an individual to like work together like that will be even more charitable in hearing you out and working towards that together. But it's definitely scary. It doesn't make it any less intimidating. And I wish you the best in doing that.
I really appreciate that. I mean, I don't want to preach, but the show is basically what caused me to question my beliefs and eventually deconvert. So, Matt and everybody, I really appreciate it. This is, the show's changed my life.
Oh, thank you so much, Aiden. I really appreciate it. I got to let you go because we've got a ton more calls we want to get to today. But I'm glad it was useful, and call us back. Let us know how it goes, because there are plenty of other people that are in your situation that would benefit from hearing your story. And somebody in chat just said, oh, look, another gay pilot. And so evidently there's plenty of gay pilots that might be in your situation and would like to hear that story as well. So
awesome.
Yeah, they all seem to go to American. There's too many of us for some reason.
Well, that's the area my dad just retired from. So thanks a lot, Aiden. Appreciate it.
Good luck, Aiden.